What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video by yours truly. This is going to be my shell guide. As I was playing through the beta, I went in quite blind, and so a lot of the intricacies that belong to a shell, the values, some of them I just had no earthly clue about and how they functioned until later on. And so I think this information can be of use to people playing this game for the first time on launch. And so with that said, we're going to teach you all of the elements there are to know about the shelling system. And then at the end, I'm going to give you a recommendation or kind of like my build pathing strategy, depending on whether I'm putting it on a DPS, a support, or a tank. And so yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so once again, if you watched my first impressions video or not, shells are going to be at the bottom here, and they are these little cool creatures, reminiscent of Pokemon or like Max from Phantasy Star Online. I always like to reference Max from PSO because that's like the original like little guy that was your friend and held it down. These dudes are a weapon. What I mean by that is their stats belong to your character as well, so they are very important to develop. But they're not just a weapon, they also have an ability that they utilize inside of combat. Now we're just going over the basics here before we get into the stuff I want to teach you about. So every single one of them is going to have a functionality to team development and strategy. This is one of the things I had to learn as I was playing the game. When you level them up, the way that the system actually functions is you level one up to level 10, 20, 30, and then 40 as well. And then in order to ascend them, similar to HSR, when you ascend characters, you need like mats, you need dupes of the exact same one, right? So this guy right here, I have 4 other little bee stinkers, I guess you can call them. One for the first ascension phase, you only need 1, right? And so I can do that, and then I can ascend it. Boom. And now I'm able to take it up to level 20. And once I get to 20, I now need 2 copies of it. Once I get to 30, I need 3 copies of it in order to ascend it. And so that's how the system works. And each time you ascend them, you unlock a passive effect with each ascension. This is the part I had no clue about. I also didn't really understand how the duping worked. I thought I had to, the first time I learned it, I thought I had to level one up to 10 and then put it inside them. I didn't realize you just need copies. You don't have to level them up. So I wasted a lot of resources in the beginning of the game because I was leveling up 3 different ones to 10 just to put them inside of another one. It's a complete nub, bro. Anyways, this is very important too. Why? Because this is another thing I didn't know. Passive effects, they expand at the higher rarities. For an example, I was using, in fact, I'm pretty sure I still am. I was using this on my Heinrich for a minute because I thought the most passive effects, I don't know why the hell I didn't consider this fat amount of black space over here, bro. Oh, what do you think that space is there for, Smack, huh? Doesn't matter. I'm sure a lot of you will make the same mistakes. I thought this was it. I was like, oh, just 2 passive effects. I didn't know that the higher rarity one was a 3rd passive effect. And then this red one over here is just like higher rarity of like quality of those passive effects. And so this starts to compound, and before you realize it, don't get too attached. The vertical progression on shells in this game is insane. In fact, I want to show you just how insane it is. For an example, once again, when you re-roll these passive effects, which you can do, it's called reconfigure. This is a very important part of in-game building. I don't recommend doing this until you get to the red ones. You're wasting a crap ton of these resources down here if you do. Once you get to the red ones, start re-rolling. Until then, hoard the shit out of this because as usual in gacha games, it becomes very scarce pretty quickly. But yeah, you can re-roll them. I'll go ahead and give you an example. Let's say I didn't like this one, right? And I'm trying to look for, I don't know, whatever the hell. That's how it works. You can see it got a higher quality, right? There's unique. This is a higher quality, but it landed on defense. Aren't we familiar with landing on defense, boys? Goddamn, these gacha games landing on goddamn defense. I like that you have a choice though. You can abandon the stat that you're currently using, or you can override it with a new one if that's something of interest or attraction to you. Now there's 2 more things I want to tell you about. One, fully ascending a shell. First of all, you want to be very careful with that because it's quite expensive, but it gives a amplified ability of their inherent skill. So before the owner takes action, deal 200% damage to the enemy with the lowest HP, reduce their defense by 60%. Before ascending it fully, this was only 50%. So I got an additional 10% defensive shred from the full ascension. Heinrich's one was very interesting because this one only said increase attack by 600 for 2 turns, period. That's it. When I fully ascended it though, it then poof, implement it in. Oh, and also get 10 crit rate. I was like, what the? So some of these shells have like a literal secret ability inside of there once you fully ascend them. That one blew my socks off. And then others just amplify the stats that are already there. Now, there's one more thing that I want to explain to you guys, and this one's pretty important. It pertains to the matrix effect. So you'll see down here, I got 3 boots, and I also got 2 of this little one right here. I want to make sure y'all really understand that one because it's pretty important, man. So you come over here, this is where you grind your shells, right? And let's say we click on her and we want to grind this little guy. The problem is, every time you get one, there's an RNG roll on what it's actually going to have for its matrix sets, which, guys, these tie into your build, your module. You need a specific amount of set pieces to activate the conditions, right? You know, set bonuses. Oh, 4 of the same set gives me this bonus. That's how that works. The shells, they have a plethora of different ones that they could like roll on. And so you might spend a bit of time trying to get the one you actually want. And in the end game, and I mean the end game, they start dropping 3 at a time. Like you'll start getting 3 boots and 3 of the other one, like 3 and 3, which is very, very important for the end game because you're able to get like way more set bonus, like multiple set bonuses fulfilled, and your character's just way stronger. So what I'm trying to tell you is there's one more little thing you could do in your shelling system, and it's like Empower. It's called Imprint. Now, what you'll notice is if you fully ascend your shell, you cannot imprint. So you don't want to mess this up because, oof, that's going to be a lot of shelling materials, the training data that you're not getting back, my boy. I mean, you can recycle them. You can recycle them, but recycling it is not going to give you back the full amount. I want to make sure this is very clear. So what is it for? It's for, and let me find somebody who's not like fully leveled up. It's for like when you're trying to utilize a shell, even though it doesn't have the right matrix effects, you'll just use that until you eventually get the one you're looking for, right? So right now, case in point, 2 onslaught, 2 swift, or 3 swift rush. What if I want 3 onslaught, 3 swift rush so I can get the bonuses? Boom, boom, because I need that 1 extra. Well, the way you can do that is you go to Empower, you go to Imprint, you just take the one you've been using and you imprint it onto the one that landed the appropriate set bonuses down here. Does that make sense? So I took this guy up, and don't fully ascend him. That's very important. I took this guy up to level 30. He's got all the perfect stats. I re-rolled on him. He's good to go. He just doesn't have the bonuses. Well, I finally get one that has the right bonuses. So now I can just imprint him onto that one with all the exact same stats, star level, and passives. And guess what? The matrix effect will remain unchanged. And so this is their way of going, well, if you run into that problem, this is how you can remedy it. So, you know, it's pretty helpful. I found it quite useful in that regard, because a lot of the times you're going to be going into these walls in the game where you just can't get past something and you need the stats. And so you're just going to have to use it versus trying to get the perfect roll. Finally, before we go into my build pathing, you can recycle ones you're not using anymore, and the ones that you just like completely outscaled. Like I can click this guy down here. This is what it's going to give you in exchange for that. And yes, you will absolutely have to do this at a time. Like, I mean, you can get a lot of them, especially when once your team's already built. You're just using this for probably reconfiguring and trying to get the perfect sub stats on those passives. But that is an option inside of here as well. Okay, now I want to talk to you guys about the build pathing. So Grim Pursuit is where you're going to be farming your shells, right? And every time you get a specific level over here, you see I'm 37, you will unlock a new boss with new shelling attached to him. Now, when you're getting through this, you're going to start off with just this guy, and he's got some dog water, bottom of the barrel shells. Don't get too attached to him. If you run into a wall, then you're going to have to level them up to do more damage, right? Or be more tanky or survive better. But if you can manage it, I just don't recommend even investing in them unless you absolutely have to, because you're going to need those resources. They're immediately going to be expendable and just outscaled by every boss. So Jack, unless you run into a wall, I'm just going to say it, man, probably not even worth investing in them. If you can beat them without having to invest in them, it's worth it, because then you're going to unlock this dude. And this dude actually has a pretty good one that you can use for a bit. And that's going to be this guy right here. This guy has the speed boot, which is really good. You're going to be using a crap ton of speed, especially in the beginning and even in the end. But after the owner takes action, advance them by 30%. That's so huge early on. And so you can grind this little dude and like take him up, rock with him for a little bit. Next up, you're going to drop this girl. She's the one that's really going to give you your first DPS shells to put on your nukers, like your Messiah, your Heinrich, whatever DPS you're using. These are the two sets that you'll be able to use on them. Now, which one? Well, this one here is going to be better for people who need that extra attack because their ult's going to do a crap ton of damage with that extra attack. But honestly, both of them are pretty freaking good. This one gives you crit damage scaling, and it does a additional attack itself on top of yours. So which one? Honestly, it's not that big of a deal. They're both going to get outscaled. Just pick the one that best floats with you. Like I would use him for dieting, the sniper. And then I would use this one for like, I would say a Heinrich. Doesn't really matter though. At the end of the day, you just put them on your DPS, rock with them for a little bit. Then you're going to move on. This, I don't really care about. I'll be honest. I don't even think you need any of these. Can they be used? Of course they can be used. Like before the owner takes action, reduce their next skill cooldown by 1 turn. I think that one's pretty damn valuable. You can put that on a support, a healer, you name them. But the reality of it is, once again, you want to try and hold that shelling experience as much as you can. And so I think you can completely end up just skipping this guy, like in terms of investing in these. But the next person, this you do not want to skip. This girl is when you get the little B, and this B shreds defense. I've just been showing you guys about this in this video. This B shreds defense and enables your nukers to deal a lot more damage. So you want to put this B, honestly, you can even put it on DPS, but ideally you want to put it on your fast supports or your fast support DPS so that they can immediately apply that 50% defensive shred to the boss before your big damage dealers turns pop up, if that makes sense. But the way it works is there's one more final thing I got to teach you guys. I forgot about this. So this is your cooldown of your shells, right? This right here is your cooldown. This is how many turns you have to wait before you can actually use the perk of the shell. So if it says 1, that means 1 turn needs to go by before this perk will even activate. Now you might be thinking, oh wow, that's kind of booty cheeks, but there's some characters in the game that act twice. Gray is a perfect example. Gray can use the hell out of this Twilight Knight right here because of this right here. So what you would do with Gray is you would literally go pop crit rate buff, right? Boom. He gets 1 extra turn. The extra turn, the freaking Hornet now hits the guy. But you got to be careful because if you haven't done enough damage with that Hornet, I'm gonna go ahead and show you. If you haven't done enough damage to the boss with that Hornet, the Hornet might very well apply the defensive shred to some freaking peasant, a mob that you don't want it to be applied to. And so that's something you have to factor in with this Hornet as well. A bit of skill, bit of strategizing, but with proper timing, planning, and speed tuning, this little dude is a force to be reckoned with. And so I strongly recommend using him on one of your freaking characters just to get that defensive shred for way more damage on your nukers. Once again, that drops with her. Another one that's very valuable that'll hold it down for a long time. This guy right here. He's going to be for all your supports that like you want them to immediately go first and go fast to constantly apply crowd control to slow the enemy down, or you're trying to get them to do a combo like, I don't know, like a Lily or something like early on. These are the two I actually recommend investing in because they're going to hold it down. You're going to be using them for quite a bit. They're also epics, so you're going to get higher quality, and you're going to be here for a bit. The one thing you'll learn about the shelling system is these level gates, they occur. Right now, I can't even do this until I hit level 40. That's going to be a lot of gaps in between unless you're like max refreshing every single day, which some of you might be doing that. But if you're not, these two will hold it down for quite a bit. Now, once you get over here to her, I think she's a skip. I think every single one of these is a skip. Once again, it's not that they're not good. It's that they get outscaled pretty quickly by the next coming like people. So then you finally run in to Mythic shelling. This girl is going to be where you're going to want to really grind hard for your DPS because this freaking guy here is a beast early on. Is he the absolute best DPS shell in the game? I don't think so. But this is the first time you're getting a Mythic one. and he absolutely can be used in perpetuity if you want to. There's some that are going to just be better in terms of like well-rounded usefulness, both in PvP and in PvE. That said though, this little dude packs a fucking punch and he's worth investing in, like I said, because this is also going to be around the time of the game where you're going to start running into some serious walls of progression in PvE. And so like, if you don't have this dude, damage just ain't gonna be there, bro. So he's worth getting it, and I'm telling you, he's not even expendable. You can always use him. Like if you just want to stick with him, you can do that. Look at how many matrices that he can spawn into. He also gives you access to Keen Eye, one of the most broken DPS sets in the game. So absolutely worth it. Another one that's absolutely worth it, this girl too. Good for your speed tuners, good, or your people that you want to go first, even good for your support characters that you're trying to get combos to pop off with, because every time the enemy acts 3 times, they get advanced by 30%. The person who's rocking this, very good supportive set. This one, good for your tanks, good for your Tiamat, good for your, I can't remember, I still haven't gotten everybody's names down, but basically all the tanks can make good use of this, especially if they scale with defense, but it's not just limited to them. You can put it on like a number of people, even healers, honestly. These 3 I recommend. Even this one is also solid. This is good for people you cannot afford to let them get like crowd controlled, stunned, CC. This is usually going to be like, once again, you're like your healers, maybe a Lily, maybe it's like whoever the hell, like a Freya. You don't want her getting freaking CC'd as well. You can put that on people too. But basically, this is where you get your very first real set of farming for shelling, and that's really good. Now, from here, it's pure blown knowledge and studying that I've done. Obviously, I haven't even unlocked them, but I don't need to. I got the 5 head, guys. All right, y'all locked in? I'm locked in. What you want to do is this little dude here is going to be perfect for one character that comes to mind. They're able to extend debuffs that aren't crowd control debuffs, and then they give you effect accuracy increase by 40%. It's called Dark Moon. This little dude here was made, and I do mean it was made for this freaking girl right here. This girl can apply 3 debuffs in one singular ult cast, but she has to apply them each time, like individually. And if she doesn't apply it, then she won't go on to the next debuff to apply it, right? So it's, and then on top of that, she has very low chances of applying the debuffs. So she needs a crap ton of effect accuracy. Then it lasts for 2 turns. But if you put that one on her, it lasts for 3 turns. Then she gets a free 40% effect accuracy, making it perfect for her to apply those 3 debuffs. This is one of the strongest buffers in the game. She gives defense shred 60. She gives increased damage taken by 30%. That's multiplicative, beautiful. She gets, when taking the next crit damage, consumes 1 stack, causing this hit to hit additionally for true damage on the attacker, not on her. It scales off the attacker. Monstrous buffer in this game, and she's a 4-star, by the way. So yeah, like once you get to her, if you're trying to use her to like soup up your character's damage, this is such a banger, bro. Other than that, I didn't really like any of the other ones. I'm not saying they're not useful. They just, for me personally, I'm not really rocking with them. This one giving me like a RNG, like I have to build fucking effect hit rate or accuracy just to get a cooldown reduction. Nah, I'm good, bro. It's cheeks. This one, I could see some use in it, but once again, it kind of seems like a little bit niche. The next one, I personally, like this is like the most insane fucking shell in the game. It's this freaking guy, Law of Silence. Oh my God. This shell is absolutely diabolical, bro. Let me explain to you how it works. At the start of the battle, it immediately puts the character who's rocking it into void state. Void is the reason why this shit is disgusting. Then for every 4 turns, you enter a 2-turn void state. After the turn ends, and increases your attack by 5%. We got to go over to the archive so I can explain to you just how egregious this fucking void state really is. I mean, it's insane, guys. So void state, as soon as you enter battle, keep in mind, he applies this to the character. The character you're going to want to put this on, in my personal opinion, are going to be your tank or your DPS. Somebody who's going last, because as soon as their turn pops up, turn over with, right? Or it expires. So Messiah with this, oh my God. Messiah got to be the most cancerous person in the game with this shit on PvP. Oh my God. Yeah, so this thing's going to be an insane PvP shell. But I also think it's broken for PvE too. So look, it increases your effect res by 60%. So off rip, any crowd control, any debuffing they're trying to do to that person who's rocking it, out the window. It ain't happening, bro. 60 effect res. More than likely, shit just ain't happening. They're going to be able to resist that. Very strong, so they can't be affected. Furthermore, cannot be selected as the main target of an enemy skill. So they can't even be singled out by like a sniper like Dieting or somebody who's trying to go after them and kill them. You can't even target them. It has to be AoE. I looked at this, I was like, bro, this gotta be the most egregious shell in the game. This shell is single-handedly about to improve the intensity and excitement of PvP matches when it gets to late game, because it's gonna make those matches go on so much longer, which is gonna flesh out the real strategy and planning of characters. And so for PvP heads, oh brother, farm this shit all day. Absolutely. And for PvE, you might be going into some situations where you don't want to get hit by CC crowd control. Oh, dude, this is just too good. It's way too fucking good. And it scales with all the appropriate DPS matrices that you're going to need to build your teams. Even Bramble for counterattackers. Beautiful. So I strongly recommend. That's one of the most important ones in the entirety of the game for me. I saw that shit and my socks got blown off again, bro. Now, this is going to be the next one of the in-game level for speed, right? 30% speed boost. Then you get a massive action value advancement on top of that. 3-turn cooldown, not that bad at all. The Jackal Guard. I also love how it looks really cool. So yeah, for all your little speedsters, you're going to put that on them. Again, that can be like a Marvel. That can be a Kraken. It can be like, honestly, anybody who you're trying to immediately get off and pop in effectively. Before the owner takes action. Oh, this one. Now, this one was interesting. So this one says, before the owner takes action, enables each crit hit dealt by the owner's character in this turn to deal additional true damage. Oh, here we go. True damage equal to 10% of the target's max HP. I thought this was so freaking insane, but it depends. What characters, this is the question that comes into mind. What characters are critting a bunch of times with their abilities? How many of them are attacking with frequent, like a bunch of ticks? Because each tick of a crit is going to equate to an additional 10% true damage of max HP. That's huge. The only people that came to mind are people who have ultimates that deal 3 hits, right? So like 3-hit ultimate, 100% damage to all enemies. That's 3 10% true damage hits, right? Same thing with Heinrich. He can do the same thing. 3, because it does 3 ticks, 3 hits of 90 damage. So that's 3, if all 3 of them crit, true damage. And then finally, this freaking guy, bro, like every time, I can't take him serious because of his fucking weapon, but he has a 4-hit ultimate, right? So this is another dude I can see using that and popping off big time. So try to look out for the people who have the high ticks of abilities, because I think those are the ones that you're going to be able to take the most advantage of with that one. Now, this one here is going to be for people you cannot afford to let die. I think Lily's very important for this. The characters you can't afford to let die, or characters who are very hard to kill already, like Tiamat, I think even Tiamat can use this. Basically, it brings them back to life, and it heals them next time they come back up, and then it removes all effects on them and everything. Like these guys are, and then the ice state, which you can go and read up on that one. In fact, I guess I won't be too lazy. I'll show you guys. God damn it, Bobby. So the ice state, it grants immunity. So they can't receive turn meter, like depreciation. They can't receive debuffs, and they can't receive buffs either. When the enemy takes their turn to act, it removes the ice state, recovers their HP. So it's just like a second chance to keep them good. Again, this is going to be good for PvP, 1,000,000,000%. And I can see it being good for some PvE situations too. And these are all the sets that it applies to. So that, let's just put it this way, guys. Once you make it, obviously, to these last floors, a lot of them are really freaking good. I think this whole entire row is worth farming. I do. And I think once you farm this whole entire row, I really don't think you need to look over here, but there is one that I recommend farming, and it's this guy. This guy right here, he gives you a free casting of an ultimate. You can put that before the owner acts, unleash the owner and his full potential, making their next skill cost no cooldown. So that means you get a free casting, right? So like Marvel comes to mind for me, because you CC, delay, send them all the way to the back. Marvel comes up again, he pops his ult again, CCing him again. There's characters like him and Kraken that will probably abuse the living hell out of this one right here. These other ones, they're cool, right? Like, I think you can use this for healers because it stores healing. So like your heals, anybody who's doing God tier heals, you can use that for a healer. But this is the one that, like, I was like, oh my God, that's disgusting. 100% worth investing in. Sure, you'll see some people using this. Lifesteal, attack. Don't get me wrong, that's a lot of attack. But I'm more enticed by like this guy and this guy for the tickers. You will see 1 billion% people using this. And I know that, like, I'm probably a bit in the minority saying, I just, attack increase with lifesteal, it just doesn't really appeal to me as much as something like this. That's insane. And something like this for the high tickers. But it is that third DPS option. I will say that. This person over here triggers when the main body takes damage greater than 25% of max HP, healing the main body for 20% max HP, and increasing turn meter. I don't really care about this one. I don't really see the value there. So that is my pathing. I'm going to invest in this entire tree right here, and then just this guy right here. Put that on a healer, call it a day. That's pretty much like my strategy. That I'm going to put on that one character I told you about, and who cares about the rest of them. But y'all know me. I love explaining all my like thoughts to make sure that everybody is fully aware with full-blown clarity what Smack plans to do and what he thinks about each one of these shelling systems. So hopefully, guys, y'all liked what I said in this video. Peace, love, and happiness. I'm excited for the launch. See you guys in the next one.